All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are jumping back in the comment section because I think the conversations here, oh my gosh, they're super important to have. Shout out to the community, shout out to the audience members. Somebody put a comment here about the PS5 Pro. They said, "Why are PC gamers bothered? Why PC gamers bother so much what kind of console people buy or not? You all call them fanboys, but PC gamers are fanboys too. PC gamers are fanboys. I don't think many PC gamers have actually denied that. They're AMD and Nvidia fans, they're Intel and AMD fans. It's always been kind of a thing. They just don't run around with it because at the end of the day, it's kind of stupid, right? Within that particular ecosystem. I think what you're doing is, or what you're seeing is, you're conflating the content creators with the communities themselves. You see, within the, the content creator, I would say space, there are fans that said a lot of things about the PS5 Pro when it was first unveiled. They went in and they took data that they did not understand, and I won't mention any names. In fact, let's just throw it out there. One of them, the name of their YouTube channel starts with a letter in the alphabet, A through F. Okay, pick your letter, and that's how we're going to go. That way you know that I'm not just calling an arbitrary person. I'm actually pointing a reality. This, person was told, or some of these content creators were told, hey, you don't make the analysis or you don't make conclusions like that because there are many things you have to factor in. An RTX 4070 is a different kind of device. It's an NVIDIA device. Your PS5 is an AMD device. They said, oh, no, PSSSR, this, and this. There were no metrics, only what Mark Cerny showed in the presentation. So now that the PS5 Pro is out, those people have to actually be pointed out. They must be called out. They must be corrected. If anything, they cannot be given room to lie to people again, because that's what they did. They lied. They took an ignorant step, moronic way of ignoring data and going out to go ahead and say nonsense that they had no idea about. Do you know why we do this? Do you know why we take this approach? Because gaming and hardware analysis is a scientific approach. You and we enjoy gaming on the casual level. Even though you may be hardcore, it is still casual. But the hardware itself is a scientific enterprise that if you do not pay attention to it, the hardware manufacturers will steal from you. They will literally take your money. And if you don't care, that's your business, but there are consumers who care. So this is why we have to ensure that these influencers don't bring their ignorance and destroy a lot of people's trust. Let me go ahead and point out a little bit more in this particular category. There's a company called Theranos that came out a few years ago. This was actually started by a 19-year-old Elizabeth Holmes. It's a very unfortunate story because you could tell that she had vision. She had dreams. She had, the idea to want to change the industry. She came out with a proposition that her company could do some scientific testing on people's, just taking, little samples of blood, and they were going to be pretty much transform the industry. Do you know what that whole thing led to? That led to court cases. That led to investigations that people did because she was gaining a lot of support. She was literally taking, I don't know how or what was all beneath or behind this, but she took the scientific enterprise and made a joke, almost made a joke out of it. But real scientists were asking questions. They were saying, is this actually true? Is this actually possible? And what a lot of these console influencers are not really aware of is that in the hardware space, time, effort, and analysis are actually taken into account. For them to make those statements, and if they have been allowed to, would diminish the entire enterprise of scientific analysis that's done around hardware. Sure, take your casual gaming and play games. There's nothing wrong with that. But once the so-called influencers that pick up a microphone lack humility, lack sense, lack a way to be looking for being honest, then we're in trouble. So those folk actually have to be pointed out. The analysis and the criticisms are not towards you, the console gamer. In fact, you should be happy that these influencers are actually being put under the light to show that many of them have a lot to still learn. Even myself, if I take an L here on the channel, you guys get my L videos. And if these folk are not going to be willing to take, because they're not humble enough, they're not going to apologize. They're going to double down. So what's going to happen is we need to ensure that everybody hears that these folk are either humble enough to be able to learn something or are just straight up frauds. If you don't point them out, they're going to continue to pollute the, conversation. They're going to continue to pretty much cause what I think is obfuscation of real scenarios, real world data, and truth is going to pretty much be maligned. So let's not follow a post-truth, because this world, everybody just thinks truth is relative. I don't know what's going on. Like, truth is truth. Doesn't matter what you think about it. It's going to basically remain truth. It doesn't have any reason to be bothered about, your feelings or whatever it is. So let's go ahead and ensure that we point this stuff out as much as we possibly can. And that's pretty much why you're seeing a lot of these videos. It's not to attack you. It's pretty much just to make sure that we ensure that people are saying the truth. Digital Foundry themselves, when they came out and said, this, it looked like it was going to be performing, like a downclocked 4070. That was shooting off the hip. If they do a comparative analysis right now with the 4070 and an appropriate CPU, a 4070 will blaze through the PlayStation 5 Pro in almost every gaming scenario that it wouldn't even be funny when you actually, think about it. Why? Because both hardware pieces are set differently. They're made differently. And one of them is just better than the other one. That's all that needs to happen. But someone to tell you that this thing's going to perform like a 4070 is misinforming you. They have tried to misinform you, or they have misinformed you. And someone's got to set the record straight. Yes, so 100 more videos are coming. And thankfully, I'm not one of those that would point out or call, anybody's names too much. Sometimes I'll call names. Like sometimes it gets to a point where I have to call names. But those folk are lucky that I'm not calling anybody's names. Believe you me. Because if we were doing that, I don't think you'll be asking these questions. I don't think you'll make a comment like this, because I think that's probably what's maybe missing in this conversation. But I'm not interested in pointing anybody's names before they say, oh, you're trying to harp on somebody to grow your channel. Man, screw that. Talk to me in the comment section, folks. Appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.